No one dared to ask what the actual problem was in the family. When the Whitmore estate lawyer opened his office that morning, the last thing he expected was the envelope. No return address, no signature, just the words, "For the truth." Inside was a confession, dated 5 years before the patriarch's death, signed by the man who had written his will. This is the story of a confession that shattered 3 generations. Before we go deeper into this story, I'd love to know, where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city or country in the comments. And as the details unfold, tell us, do you believe this was the work of foul play, or could it have been something else entirely? Also, if you're drawn to mysteries like this one, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us keep these stories alive and bring you more stories that the world should never forget. Charleston, South Carolina. But not the Charleston from postcards. This is the new Charleston, glass front homes overlooking quiet water, where wealth is whispered, not flaunted. At the center was the Whitmore family. Henry Whitmore, the patriarch, founder of Whitmore Capital, quiet, deliberate, and feared. Margaret Whitmore, his elegant but distant wife. Their children, Evelyn, the polished philanthropist, Daniel, the restless entrepreneur, and Lucas, the youngest, a ghost in his own family. Neighbors saw perfection, charity galas, polished Christmas cards, and manicured lawns. But behind every closed door was a contract, emotional or financial, that could be revoked at any time. Even at Sunday dinners, they spoke like investors, not family. And when Henry died, that language of money became their mother tongue. It happened inside the Whitmore law offices, mahogany panels, portraits of dead partners, and a faint scent of cologne that never left the room. The executor, Robert Hale, Henry's lifelong attorney, adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. The heirs waited, not in grief, but in calculation. The will was simple, until it wasn't. To my eldest daughter, Evelyn, the trust and its dividends. To my son, Daniel, the properties in Savannah and Charleston. To Lucas, a sum to be determined after full disclosure by the executor. After full disclosure by the executor. The room froze. Margaret whispered, "What disclosure?" Hale hesitated, eyes flicking toward the last sealed page of the will. He never read it aloud. 2 nights later, a storm hit the coast, and with it, the first death. Daniel's car was found submerged off the Ashley River Bridge. No skid marks, no sign of struggle. Police called it an accident. Evelyn called it fate. But Hale called it the beginning, because he knew exactly what Daniel had discovered hours before he died. And 5 years later, he would confess everything. Detective Nora Briggs wasn't supposed to take the case, but something about the report bothered her. The timing, the witness inconsistencies, the executor's silence. The Whitmores hired the best attorneys in Charleston, but Briggs had something they didn't: time and patience. In her interviews, she found cracks. Margaret spoke of the family legacy, but never of love. Evelyn cried only when the cameras were gone, and Lucas couldn't look anyone in the eye. Then came Hale, quiet, methodical, a man who built his life keeping other people's secrets. When she asked about the disclosure clause, and he said only, "Some truths don't belong in court." To understand the Whitmores, Briggs had to go back. Long before the company, before the trust. Henry Whitmore wasn't born into wealth. He built it through manipulation and strategic marriages. What he didn't build, he bought. Records revealed a silent partner, an unknown investor who vanished in the early years of Whitmore Capital. And that investor had a son whose birth certificate listed Henry as the father. That son's name was Robert Hale, the executor, the man holding the will. In families like these, Briggs said quietly, money doesn't buy loyalty, it auctions it. The deeper Briggs looked, the more dangerous it became. Every file she opened led to someone else's silence, sealed accounts, untraceable transfers, falsified dates. But one thing was consistent: Hale's signature. When confronted, he didn't deny it. He only asked one question: do you believe a man can inherit a lie? Behind closed doors, Evelyn was falling apart. She discovered her father had changed the will weeks before his death, with Hale as sole witness. And then, Hale disappeared. Until one morning, an envelope appeared at Briggs's desk. Inside, a confession, signed by Robert Hale. The will was never meant to protect them. It was meant to reveal them. The confession was simple and devastating. Hale had discovered the original will years before Henry's death. It left everything to Lucas, the youngest. The child Henry believed wasn't his. When Hale confronted Henry, the old man begged him to destroy it, but Hale didn't. He rewrote the will, hiding a disclosure clause, a secret meant to surface after Henry's death. Henry died believing his secret would die with him, but Hale made sure it didn't. He wanted the family to tear itself apart. He wanted truth to be their punishment, and it worked. Evelyn lost everything in lawsuits. Margaret retreated into silence, and Lucas left Charleston, never to return. When Briggs found Hale, he was living alone in an old coastal house, the tide almost reaching his porch. He didn't resist arrest. He just asked to finish his story. "I wasn't the executor of a will," he said. "I was the executor of a family's sins." He confessed to falsifying documents, manipulating the heirs, and leaking the final copy of the will to the press. But the true crime wasn't fraud, it was revelation. Because what Hale exposed wasn't a theft. It was the truth of their bloodline. And for the Whitmores, that truth was worse than death. Years later, the Whitmore estate stands empty. The company dissolved. The charity plaques removed. Just a quiet mansion by the water, with windows that still reflect the past. Detective Briggs retired soon after. She keeps Hale's confession locked in her desk drawer. Sometimes she reads the final line. "Did you know every fortune begins with a lie? Mine was only to end one." Share your theories in the comments below. And if you want us to continue bringing you stories like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story we bring to light.